Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another video. We're going to read Acts 27. Paul sails from Rome. When it was decided that we would sail for Italy, Paul would soon, and some other prisoners were handed over to the centurion named Julius, who believed to be an imperial regiment. We boarded a ship from Adiratum, about to sail 4 ports along the coast of the province of Asia, and we put out to sea. Aretas, a Macedonian from Thessalonica, was with us. The next few days we handed Ephesus and Julius in kindness to Paul, allowed him to go to his friends so they might provide his need. From where we put out to sea again and passed through the lee of Cyprus because the winds were against us. When we had sailed across the open sea off the coast of Sicily, the Pamphylia, we landed in Myra in Lycia. There the centurion found an Alexandrian ship sailing for Italy and put us on board. We made slow headway for many days and had difficulty arriving off Cyndias when the wind did not allow us to hold our course. We sailed to lee of Sicily, opposite of Salmore. We moved along the coast with difficulty and came to a place called Fair Havens near the town of Lasea. Much time has been lost and sailing has already become dangerous because by it the day after anointing. So Paul warned them, "Men, I can see that our voyage is going to be disastrous and bring great loss to ships and cargo and to our lives also." But the centurion, instead of listening to Paul, said, "Follow by his advice," said the pilot of the ship. Since the harbor was unsuitable to winter and the majority decided that we should sail on, hoping to reach Phoenix and winter there. This was a harbor in Crete, facing both southwest and northwest. The storm. When a gentle south wind began to blow, they saw their opportunity, so they weighed anchor and sailed along the coast of Crete. Before very long, a wind of hurricane force called the northeaster swept along the island. The ship was caught by the storm and could not head on into the wind, so we gave way and we were driven along. We passed the lee of a small island called Cadua. We were hardly able to make the lifeboat secure, so the men hoisted it aboard. Then they passed ropes under the ship itself to hold it together, because they were afraid they would run aground to the sea bars of Cyrus. They lowered the sea anchor and let the ship be driven along. We took such a buoyant parting from the storm, and the next day they began to throw the cargo overboard. On the third day they threw the ship tackle overboard in their own hands. When neither sun nor stars appeared for many days, and the storm continued raging, we finally gave all hope of being saved. After they had gone a long time without food, Paul stood up before and said, "Men, you should not have taken my advice to sail from Crete. Then we would have spared yourselves in this damage loss. But now I urge you to keep your courage, because not one of you will be lost. Only the ship will be destroyed." Last night an angel of God, whom I serve, stood beside me and said, "Do not be afraid, Paul. You must stand trial before Caesar, and God has graciously given you the lives of whom to sail with. So keep your courage, men, for I have faith in God and what happened just as to me. Nevertheless, we must run aground on the same island." The shipwreck. On the 14th night, we were still being driven across the Adriatic Sea when, about midnight, the sailors, since they were approaching land, they took surroundings and found that the water was 120 feet deep. A short time later, they took soundings again and found it was 90 feet deep. Fearing that it would be dashed along the rocks, they dropped the 4 anchors on the stern and prayed for daylight. In their attempt to escape from the ship, the sailors let the lifeboat down into the sea, pretending they were going to lower some anchors from the bow. Then Paul said to the centurion and the soldiers, Unless these men stay with the ship, you cannot be saved. So the soldiers cut the ropes that held the lifeboat and let it drift away. Just before dawn, Paul urged all to eat. For the last 14 days, he said, you have been in constant suspense and have gone without food. You haven't eaten anything. Now I urge you to take some food. You need to survive. None of you will lose a single hair on your head after this is said. He took some bread and gave thanks to God in front of them all. Then he broke it and began to eat. They were all encouraged and ate some food themselves. Altogether, there were 276 of us on board in total. When they have eaten as much as they wanted, they lightened the ship by throwing the grain into the sea. When daylight came, they did not recognize the land. Before they saw the bay with the sandy beach, they were decided to run the ship around if they could. Cutting loose the anchors, they left them in the sea. At the same time, untied the ropes that held for the rowers. Then they hoisted the foresail to the wind and made for the beach. But the ship bowed back and did not surrender. The bow stuck fast and would not move, and the stern was broken to pieces by the pounding of the surf. The soldiers, planning to kill the prisoners to prevent any of them from swimming away and escaping, but the centurion wanted to spare Paul's life and keep them from carrying out their plan. He ordered those who could swim to jump overboard first to get land. The rest were to get on planks and other pieces of the ship. And that's why everyone reached land safely. The word of the Lord for the people of the Lord. Thanks be to the Lord. Hope you have a great day and see you tomorrow.